Peace, family. In response to United States illegal removal of the Venezuelan President Maduro and his wife, and then asserting themselves as ownership or authority over Venezuela, a reporter asked Donald Trump what were the limitations of his power. Donald Trump's response was, my morality and whatever's in my mind. This sounds to me like somebody that want to be a dictator. This is not coming from a president or somebody who wants to be president. This is coming from a dictator or authoritarian. You know. So the reporter went on to ask, well, what about the international laws? Donald Trump said that, well, it depends on what they say. So basically, if the international laws go along with what he want to do, he'll accept it. If they prohibit him from doing what he want to do, he'll ignore it. And see, the fact of the matter is, a president of the United States power and authority has always been limited by Congress, by the laws, the Constitution. You don't come in here with your preconceived notion of what's right and wrong, what's allowable and what's unallowable, and you get to determine this on your own. No process, no debate, no vote, no nothing. Just what Donald Trump thinks is in his own head. And you see the havoc that he's wreaking in his own country. Can you imagine this guy going to foreign countries and determining what he can and cannot do based on his own in his own mind? You're talking about basically war. And see, and when he said morality, his morality comes with no compassion. Because the woman that was unalived by ICE agents the other day in Minnesota, Renee Good, a white woman, a mother of 3, when she was unalived by ICE agents who were sent to Minnesota under the authority of Donald Trump, he did not say not one word of compassion towards the victim or the children that were left behind. He blamed the whole thing on her. So if this is an example of Donald Trump's morality against his own people, what do black people have to look forward to up under this type of presidency, this type of administration? And to go further than that, here you have J.D. Vance attacking the victim of this crime, stating that they should have sympathy and compassion for the ICE agent because they are up under constant threat. And this particular ICE agent was dragged by a vehicle 6 months ago. And when he found himself in another similar situation, he may have overreacted. So basically what you're saying is this man is suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome. He hasn't recovered from his previous incident. So therefore, he was not mentally fit to even be on duty. And yet you're still saying that this woman was the one at fault. You speak about the stress the ICE agents are feeling. But what about the stress that the citizens are feeling from these overzealous police officers and ICE agents? You're separating parents from their children. You're shooting unarmed blacks and whites. You don't think that the public is suffering from some PTSD? This is absolutely ridiculous. I've watched these post-apocalyptic movies like The Matrix, the Book of Eli, those zombie movies, where something in the past had happened that destroyed the system of government, the way of life of the people, and the survivors are trying to reassemble some sense of normalcy. What's going on today is what you would call a pre-apocalyptic event. Because you have a president who don't adhere to the restraints of this position. He's free to determine what's right, what's wrong, what he can and can't do, all based on his own morality, all based on what is in his own mind. You can see that at some point in time, if this is allowed to continue, there's going to be some type of an event that's going to destroy this system of government. Now, let me say this. I have went and see horror movies. I've seen Jason. I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street, Sandman, all of them. And yes, I was afraid. But only during the movie. At no point in time when I left out of that movie theater did I think that some big 6'5" guy was going to chase me with a machete. I couldn't look in the mirror and say Sandman 3 times, or I could go to sleep at night and somebody would come attack me in my dreams. I had no concern of that whatsoever. But one movie that I did see that caused me concern after I left the movie theater was a post-apocalyptic movie called Civil War, where the system of government had broken down. California had invaded Texas. Militias was taking over cities and towns. And a group of reporters was trying to get from one area to the next to do an interview with the president. And as they traveled along the way, they had to prove their citizenship to each militia. And when they asked the initial question, are you an American? If you was black, white, if you was with a Mexican or an Asian, and you all answered yes, their next question was, what kind of American are you? This is what was going on the other day in Minnesota, when the ICE agent asked the person from Somalia, was he American? And when he answered yes, then he said, let me see your ID. When he gives him the ID, then he turned around and asked, where were you born? You know, when I saw that movie, the Civil War, and I said to myself, what's going on right now? I could actually see this happening. See, I can't see Jason or Freddy Krueger or the Sandman doing me harm in real life. But this post-apocalyptic movie, Civil War, where these people's understanding of what American is, what's right is, what's wrong, is all based upon their own self-determination. This is what's going on right now. And see, and I did a video the other day when I talked about how this Norwegian hedge fund severed ties with Caterpillar because of moral conflict. They didn't think that Caterpillar was doing enough to put enough pressure on Israel to stop them from using their tractors to bulldoze the homes of the Palestinian people in Gaza. So because of this, they severed ties with the #1 construction manufacturer on the planet. First, because of this moral contention that they had. And secondly, because they can see a way of continuing their way of life without Caterpillar. And see, black people, we have got to get to the point where we industrialize our beliefs, where we have ownership and control over our own businesses, industries, and institutions to protect our way of life. So that if we ever have a similar moral discrepancy, we'll have the social economic means to sever ties with these people and continue on with our way of life, where our laws, our standards, our beliefs are still intact, and they're not left up to somebody's interpretation or determination just because they have more guns than we do. You know, this is getting very dangerous. And for Donald Trump to sit there in that office and answer that question in the fashion that he did, if somebody wasn't putting pen to paper at that moment to start the process of getting this guy out of office, you're going to have a bigger problem on your hands than you ever conceived of. You know, but You know what? It's just ridiculous. I'm in this video here, and as always, these are my thoughts, my opinions. I invite you to leave yours in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Ashe.